All we've heard is people blaming everyone else and never themselves. That was Business Committee Chair Rachel Reeves as she and other MPs tore into the former Thomas Cook bosses over the collapse of the world's oldest travel company. One of those former CEOs was Manny Fontanella Novoa, who defended his £5 million bonus following the merger of My Travel, a deal that many people feel lay behind a lot of the company's problems. Well, we're pleased to say that Rachel Reeves joins me now live from Westminster. I know the hearing has just finished. You're hot off the press and over to us, so I appreciate your time. You've spoken to the bosses, you've spoken to auditors, you've spoken to politicians. Who do you think is responsible for this iconic company's demise?
The management, the leadership team and the board are responsible for the demise of this 178-year-old company. And we've heard now from the three most recent chief executives at Thomas Cook. And it is really disappointing that none of them really wanted to take responsibility for what happened. Peter Fankhauser, the most recent chief executive, who we took evidence from last week, blamed his predecessor but one, Manny Fontanella Novoa. And today, Manny basically said that all the decisions that he took were the right ones, that the debt that he built up in the company was worth it because they acquired these other brands. And yet the evidence from his successors was that that debt that Thomas Cook had acquired over the years, and particularly whilst Manny Fontanella Novoa was chief executive, was what hamstrung the company because it wasn't able to invest because it was so constrained with servicing that debt. But I think what struck me and other committee members most of all was the lack of humility and the lack of really taking responsibility. It seems to me that with huge rewards, and each of those three chief executives got huge rewards, huge payments for running that company, but with those huge rewards should come great responsibility and also, I think, in a situation like this, a degree of humility, and that was lacking, I'm afraid, in the evidence that we've heard today and last week.
Let's explore that in a bit more detail. And you say that great responsibility should come with it. Are you suggesting that the law should change to make bosses responsible for their decisions when those decisions fail?
I think that the law could be changed in a number of ways, and some of these recommendations, of course, I made when our select committee did our inquiry into the collapse of Cllr. I think one of the changes that could be made would be that it was easier to claw back bonuses. The most recent chief executive, Peter Fankhauser, says that he will reflect on whether he pays back some of his 2017 bonus, a bonus that was worth more than £500,000. I don't think it should be his decision alone. I think it should be much easier to claw back bonuses in the case of catastrophic failure. I think we should. But
would you go any further? Do you think that there should be jail time? Have they broken the law if their decisions go fundamentally wrong?
Well, I certainly, if you break the law, you should go to prison. I think we should look again at the fit and proper tests around company directors. So the most recent company directors at Thomas Cook are now directors of other firms. And I'm not convinced that those people who brought down our 178-year-old business should at the moment be on the boards of other businesses. And so I think we should look again at that. But also, I think, and I've come back to this time and time again, we need to reform the audit profession and we need to reform the regulation of audit. And it was a huge lost opportunity in the Queen's speech last week not to go ahead with that reform of the regulation of our audit sector. And it's also a huge missed opportunity of the government not to implement the recommendations of the Competition and Markets Authority that would split up the audit and non-audit part of the business so that you can't share profits, so that you can't do audit and non-audit work for the same business, to reduce those conflicts of interest, which I'm afraid are endemic in the audit profession.
And you have been very critical of PwC and EY. They're the company's auditors. Just finally, I mean, we know £11 million has been paid already to administrators. Is there going to be anything left for the long list of creditors, for the ordinary people who have spent and paid for their holidays in advance? Are they going to get that money back?
Well, we took evidence today from the Insolvency Service where they revealed that they have indeed paid out £11 million in just 3 weeks to the administrators of that business. I think in the case of Thomas Cook, the administrators are KPMG, and so they're getting that money. But of course, the people who are reliant on their back pay, for example, or suppliers who haven't been paid in some cases for 2 or 3 months, haven't got their money as well. And of course, HMRC are probably owed money as well. And so how the auditors let Thomas Cook carry on trading, knowing that there was so much risk attached to the business, I think those are questions as well that the auditor needs to answer.